On this episode, we've only got 2 questions: how much you should be spending on marketing and the 4 parts of Facebook. Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to the 88 Dental Marketing Show. This is the internet's only dental show that's answering marketing's most important questions. You can believe that. This is episode number 20 and I am your host, Joshua Scott. Thanks so much for being here today. Got a great episode. Actually gonna only answer 2 questions today, because they're longer questions, and I had a few other things to tell you about. Got a good week planned, big video project coming up here later in the week that we're getting ready for, so things are a little bit crazy. But new articles are up online for this month. You'll find, does LeBron James drive a Kia? That's up on Medium. You'll find all the articles over on Medium, but I'll put links to them down below in the show notes. Does LeBron James drive a Kia? That's up there, which is fitting because of the NBA Finals happening right now. What was the other one? Oh, when to handle your own marketing and when to hire somebody. That's up. And the last one, why are gas station restrooms so bad? And what that has to do with your practice and marketing. I think actually that's a great article. Check that out. And then one other thing. This show is brought to you by our first sponsor, Treatment Tree Software. Simple case acceptance tracking. And go check this out. It's a relatively new company, but I love the people behind it. I love the product. I've been in the dental industry for 14 years now, but a large chunk of that was with a national practice management consultant firm. And this was a group that lived and believed in and spoke about and taught all the time about the importance of case acceptance. And so sometimes though the tracking of it, there's a lot of us out there, like, we get the importance of case acceptance, we go to the seminars, we hear the lectures, but the tracking of it becomes very elusive, or we get some of the numbers that we want, but we don't get the other numbers because it just starts getting complicated fast. And so a lot of times we end up with an incomplete picture, or we have trouble breaking it down by provider or some of that stuff. And so Kelly Levin, who created this, did an awesome job. And in a sense, this becomes the missing piece to case acceptance, to really effective case acceptance. Because if you don't have the numbers there, I just don't think if you can't track it well, you're just not going to do as good of a job. So if you're watching this, it's worth checking it out. Besides, Kelly Levin is awesome. You will love her. And, which is a good point, because the 2 things you should know as we start to bring on sponsors of the show, the 2 things you should know is, number 1, ouch. Number 1 is not ouch. Number 1 is that the people, anytime I mention somebody on here, they are awesome. So that's just rule number 1, okay? So let's just assume that is, if I'm talking about somebody or I am recommending somebody to you, they are awesome. And there's an awesomeness factor. They will take care of you. They are responsive. They are people that do business the way I would want to do business. And so that's a promise up front. If they don't treat you that way, you let me know, and they will get a phone call. So that's number 1. And then number 2, I get $0 from that, from this, from that, from those, from any of it. So $0. You should know that if they I mean, from the deal, if you sign up with them, I get zero of that. And so this isn't me pushing a product and I get a cut for it. So just want that to be, there's the disclaimer, the disclosure of the relationship. So just want you to know that and be aware of it. And so that's great. I want to thank them for being on the show. Great product. Check it out. Let's get to some questions.
The first question is from Clark Harris. How do you know how much to spend on marketing?
Clark, good question, man. One of the things I always say is that marketing is based on constraints. Okay, so it was just literally 3 days ago on the phone having the same conversation with a newer practice because we could spend $250,000 on marketing. I mean, we can launch direct mail and get into TV and brand new website and build up the web presence and all stuff. I mean, gosh, we can spend $250,000. But the fact is, marketing is about constraints. And the budget is the biggest constraint, because if you can spend $250,000, then something has to bring it back. Something has to kind of set the limits and go, here's what we're gonna spend. And so, sometimes the biggest one is the budget, but sometimes it's just demographically. Those are great restraints. It could be just whether it's internal, whether it's external. Just trying to define like that target, who we're trying to reach and get to, and just create the restraints. And now let's market within that. So the budget's the biggest constraint. And so my advice on the front end is always with a practice is, what is the budget? Let's establish the annual budget, because there is nothing that will allow momentum to get built, to be created, more than the annual budget when it comes to marketing. So don't miss that. It's the annual budget allows momentum to be created, because at first, the first year, $20,000 may not seem like a lot of momentum is being built, but then the next year it's 25,000, and then the year after that it's 30,000, and now after 3 years we've spent $75,000 on marketing. Now there's some momentum, okay? And you do that for 10 years and you've got $1 million into it, or whatever. That's probably a little high, but you can see what I'm saying. That now momentum is on your side. Now it's created and it's moving and it's taking on a life of its own. And that's the sweet spot when it comes to marketing. So marketing is never about a hammer hitting plate glass. It's always about the power of 1,000 little drips. Yeah. You like that? So marketing is never about a hammer hitting a plate glass. It's always the power of 1,000 little drips. And so the budget allows that, okay? So that being said, it's the constraint, it's the momentum. The real easy, fast rule is that it's I'll give you a little equation here, right? So the marketing budget should be 3 to 5% of revenue, plus or minus an aggressiveness factor, plus or minus how well it's been working. Okay? So let's break that down for a minute. So 3 to 5% of revenue. You can base it on production, you can base it on collections. Either way, if you're a heavily involved insurance practice, and let's say production is at 3.2 million, but you collect 1.6, of course, we're gonna base that on collections, okay? You'll make a practice go out of business basing expenses on production. But if you're a practice where it's pretty close and you're collecting 98% of production, then you can base it on either. I mean, it's no big deal. It's 3 to 5% of revenue. Typically, we err, just for most of the time, we err in the 3 to 4%. We don't go that much higher unless you just need to be aggressive. But 3 to 4% of annual revenue, for the most part, is sufficient, and it's a great place to start. Okay, now plus or minus an aggressiveness factor. How aggressive do you need to be? Is your area ultra competitive? Is it not so competitive? Maybe you're in an area where 3 new practices just went into town and everybody is doing Google AdWords and that search is just ultra competitive. Then maybe you need more like 5%, and maybe there's even a little plus because of aggressiveness, okay? Maybe you're in more of a rural area and an Aspen Dental just went into the town over from you. So it's not like you have to be ultra aggressive. You just want to start doing some marketing just so you have a presence out there. Well, then maybe we scale it back a little bit because you're just getting involved. It doesn't need to be ultra aggressive. And so maybe 3% is completely appropriate, okay? So 3 to 5% plus or minus an aggressiveness factor, plus or minus how well it's been working. So, if you've been doing marketing for the past 3 to 5 years and it just hasn't been going as well, we may look at the budget and go, yeah, we're going to have to add a little bit to that. I know you've been spending 4.5%. We're going to have to bump it up because it just is going to cost more. To play at this table it's a higher, what do you call that in Vegas? A high, the blind is higher, right? I don't know. I start talking about stuff sometimes and I don't know. But it just costs more to play at that table. In some areas, you may just spend a little bit and it works really well. And so it just costs less to be in that and to do a good job. So those are the factors I see. It's 3 to 5% of revenue, plus or minus how aggressive we need to be, and plus or minus like how well it's working, and just what it's going to take to play in that market. So that's typically how much you need to spend on marketing.
Question number 2 comes from Jennifer Collins. We used to do some Facebook marketing in the past, but didn't feel like it did much. Now I'm hearing everyone talk about how great it is. Am I missing something?
So, when I was looking at the questions for the show, I just wanted to take these 2 because I knew that they're going to be longer. That last one with Clark was definitely had some content to it. Jennifer, I appreciate this question. What I would have to ask back to you right away is what type of marketing are you referring to on Facebook when you say it just wasn't working or it just wasn't getting the results you were talking about? Facebook really has 4 parts to its strategy or to its marketing, okay? So, and a lot of people, it's like you're talking about one, like it didn't work, and it's one of those points that's not working or not getting you the results you were expecting. So the first part of Facebook is just always content. It's what's our content strategy? What are we putting up there? How often are we posting? Most of us know this game, right? That's not the new part. Second part is boosting your posts. So Facebook has an ad platform, and one of the things you can do is take your post and boost that to your network so they see it, and not only your network but their network. So the people who like your page plus their family and friends, you pay to let people see that. A lot of people miss this. Let's say, for example, you have 1,000 likes or 1,000 followers to your Facebook page, right? If you post something, Facebook only allows about 1/3 of them to see that post. So 333 people see your post on your blog article that month, okay? Right? And so people go, whoa, they followed us. Why is that the case? It's Facebook's way of controlling spam. They knew if a business has a Facebook page with 1,000 followers, they would probably be tempted to put something up every single day and spam everybody on Facebook. And then the people on Facebook don't like that and they get upset that Facebook is becoming so spammy. And so they get off and they go to another platform. So it's Facebook's way of controlling that. Now, if you want to post something, you want everybody to see it, you boost it. You put $50 behind it, $100, depending on how big your network is. So that's number 2. Number 3 is likes. You can run a campaign to just increase likes to your page. You run a little ad and it's like, hey, like our page over at such and such Family Dental Center. And it's a good way. So it puts it out there to the network. In a sense, you can choose, but the best audience is the network of the people that like your page. So not to the people that like your page, but their friends and family. You put it out there to them because there's probably some association there, and you'll start to pick up likes. And it's a good strategy for a dental practice. I mean, if you're at 300 likes, and we'll get you up to 1,000, over the course of a year. And now you have a good size audience there. So that's the third. And then last is what I call it's just their ad platform or their ads, but Facebook dark posts is kind of the slang term for it. I know that dark post, it sounds a little sinister, a little evil, but really it's just a way of posting onto Facebook where it doesn't go on your wall, okay? Because most of the time if you're posting, it's on your wall, everybody can see it. These are dark posts, so your followers don't see them, but you can target anybody else. And so this is an area where it's extremely exciting. You can target, I mean, Facebook is the world's largest data company. And so you can target anybody. I mean, you want to do dental implants, you can target 40 to 65-year-olds who like watching Downton Abbey or whatever. I mean, Facebook has that kind of data on people. Females who married or not married or recently divorced, like all that type of data is there. And it's amazing how targeted you can become. And so that's the stuff I'm most excited about. I liked. And so when you say it wasn't getting the results you thought, I would wonder if you're boosting posts or trying to drive likes. If you are wanting a return of new patients, dark posts are where it's at, okay? And before I just shut this down, so 3 kind of quick keys to dark posts. Number 1, you don't want them on the right-hand column. You want them in the feed. So when you set that up, you can specify where you want those ads to run. Let's get away from the right-hand column stuff. I mean, Google AdWords, Facebook, just get out of it. People don't look there. Get right in the middle, right in the feed. That's where we want to be. Number 2, the ads need to stay fresh. They need to rotate. If you put the same ad up and it runs for 6 months, people are just going to tune it out. It's going to become noise. And that's something that's a little bit unique to Facebook. It's just something that we've seen this year is as we run ads more, the attention graph starts to go down the longer they run. But if you refresh the ad, new image, new ad, the attention graph jumps up again. Okay, so that's a little important key for you. And then number 3, you gotta make sure that you have a great looking mobile site that's easy to navigate, because people are on Facebook on their devices, on their mobile phones, iPads. And so when they click your ad, they're going over to the mobile site, okay? And some people miss this. They start getting involved in Facebook and they're sending them to a desktop style site that's not functioning optimally or ideally on a device. So check those things, make sure those are working. But yeah, those are the 4 parts of Facebook. You need to think about each of those for marketing and where to go from there. So guys, great episode. Appreciate you being here so much. A massive thank you to everybody watching the show, sending in questions, giving comments. Really, really appreciate it. Makes me love doing it, and I'm hoping that you're getting value and great content from it. It's helping. So, homework of the week. What is your marketing budget? Do the little equation there. 3 to 5% plus or minus an aggressiveness plus or minus how well it's been working. What's your marketing budget? Let's put a number to it. Let's put something solid on it and allow that to drive the strategy year after year. Guys, thanks so much for being around. I will see you next week.